Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I'm talking about a whole bunch of shows, but I'm going to talk about them very quickly. I have fallen behind this month, very far behind, but I'm back. I'm covering the last week and a half, really basically almost 2 weeks of shows. Everything short of SmackDown and 205 Live tonight on October 16th. I'm covering Raw 1427, NXT 585, NXT UK 114, SmackDown episode 1103, 205 Live episode 200, Raw episode 1428, NXT episode 486, and NXT UK 115. So this is covering from the day after TakeOver 31 all the way through leading up to the SmackDown season premiere. And the following Monday will be the Raw season premiere. So first, just want to mention, I have not watched these yet. I really need to, because the main event of this week looks fantastic. But last week we had Xia Li and Danny Luna versus Amel and Nina Samuels, Jack Stars versus Saxon Huxley, and we also had Flash Morgan Webster versus A-Kid for the Heritage Cup. Then this week, our Heritage Cup match was Dave Mastiff versus Joseph Connors. We had Isla Dawn versus Piper Niven. And the main event was Walter and Alexander Wolf versus Ilya Dragunov and Pete Dunne. That sounds killer. So go check those out. I'm going to watch those fairly soon, hopefully. But unfortunately, just as the time keeps rolling on, I if it's really good, I'll probably mention them on the next episode after I watch them. But let's head back. Let's go back in time from Raw. Let's see. From 2 weeks ago, we were leading up to the draft. What was notable here? Oh, right. I was in, I had the excellent fortune of being in the virtual Thunderdome audience for the last 45 minutes or so, where we saw Mustafa Ali versus MVP, and it was revealed that Ali is the leader of Retribution. That is fantastic. We did not get a direct follow-up this week, but it's kind of them messing with us, and I'm okay with that. If they're making it part of the story, I'm okay with that, because we were promised that he would address the WWE universe, or however they said it, and rightly so. He probably saw that announcement and said, "Nah, well, I'll do it when I want to do it." We had Braun Strowman versus Keith Lee. Braun was disqualified when he threw Keith into the stairs, or he used the stairs. I don't remember. Let's see. Bianca annoyed her friends playing trivia games at a party. We had Seth being a real jerk to Murphy. Shayna and Nia defeated Ruby and Liv in that championship match that should have happened at Clash of Champions. And Drew Gulak was disguised as Randy Orton to win the 24/7 championship. But then later on, there's a dumpster fight, and R-Truth got the championship back. All right. Very quickly, going through NXT, we had Ciampa versus Kushida, which was awesome. We had Amber, she wants some gold, baby. And they keep using that soundbite in promos, and it's that's a good soundbite. We had Everrise versus Drake, Maverick, and Killian, and Drake had new theme music for them, and it is amazing. It's the best music in the entire company. It's fantastic. Indy Hartwell sends the Garganos a television, but also a USB stick to show them, hey, I helped Candace a lot in that Battle Royal. So, just letting you know. We had Austin Theory versus Leon Ruff, but then Loomis appeared And we got Austin Theory versus Loomis. Loomis destroyed him via submission. And then Grimes came out of nowhere and attacked. We had Ridge Holland versus Danny Burch. We were building up towards Undisputed Era going after Ridge Holland, but oh man, he took a landing real hard and really messed up his ankle, I think it was. I did not actually see the injury, but the way people were describing it, like in the clip of it and everything, I was like, okay, I do not need to watch that again. I hope he heals well and that he ankles well as well. That was dumb. Get well soon, Ridge Holland. Let's see. We had another life lesson from Thatch, as Thatch can. I forget what that life lesson is, so obviously I'm learning a lot from him. I'm sorry, Timothy. We had Shotzi Blackheart versus Xia Li. Shotzi won via senton. Then Boa came out, had a letter for Xia, and she seems very concerned. And the following week, I'll get to this in a minute anyway, but she insisted that William Regal make a match for her. That is very, very important. Why is it so important? We don't know. We'll find out next week, maybe. Then we had Rhea and Ember versus Dakota and Raquel. Another awesome match. Ember Moon had a furry wolf tail along with the rest of her outfits. I thought that was kind of fun. But Ember won via an eclipse to Dakota Kai, and that was awesome. On SmackDown, this was the first night of the draft. First of the 2 nights. Let's see. Well, it's first. Okay, Biggie versus Sheamus was amazing. There's a falls count anywhere. Biggie won after all kinds of stuff in the parking garage. Go through a couple of windshields, all kinds of other stuff with the doors and the trunks and all of that. Got a big ending off of the car. Very, very cool. Kofi and Xavier Woods pop up out of nowhere. They were in disguise as security guards. They offer their congratulations, and they said, you know what, something's wrong here. Something's not quite right. We need some championships. We're going to go after those SmackDown tag team titles. And so they do. But before that, we find out that Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns will be an I Quit match in the cell. Let's see, we had Miz and Morrison versus Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle, and then Lars Sullivan, that guy, showed up and attacked. So, cool. Sasha versus Bayley was awesome, but disqualification after a chair attack by Bayley. She maintains the championship, but Sasha technically won. And then there's all kinds of chair stuff afterwards. Then we had that tag team title match, Cesaro and Nakamura versus Xavier Woods and Kofi. New champions, but right after that, we had a round of the draft picks. Stephanie came out and said, all right, Raw drafts Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. They're like, no, say what? Say his name. Say Big E's name. And he said, SmackDown drafts Big E. What? They're splitting up the New Day? What are you doing? What is going on here? And then Dana Brooke drafted to Raw. Otis, not Tucker, just Otis, drafted to SmackDown. And Garza drafted to Raw. So what is going on? They only barely mentioned Big E the following Monday. Also, they just won the SmackDown tag team titles. What's with that? Obviously, Street Profits will have to be drafted to SmackDown. But what will that mean? Earlier, we had draft picks. Drew, Asuka, and Hurt Business. All 4 of them got to go to Raw. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins went to SmackDown. So Seth will be on SmackDown for the first time ever, basically. He showed up like once or twice to have some matches when leading up to the Survivor Series, I think it was. We had AJ Styles, Naomi, and Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax go to Raw. Sasha Banks and Bianca went to SmackDown. So we could get some great Bianca Belair action going after Bayley or Sasha, whoever wins in the cell. We also had Ricochet, Mandy, and Miz and Morrison go to Raw. And Jey Uso and Dominic and Rey Mysterio go to SmackDown. Seth was happy to be away from them, and then just a few minutes later is back to being in the same situation as before, just surrounded by blue instead. Then the whole New Day situation, awful for everybody. Then we also had further draft picks the next day on Talking Smack. Forget exactly what they all were, but I think, Tucker went to SmackDown. So Otis and Tucker, Tucker went to Raw. So Otis is alone now, along with Big E, over on SmackDown. What will that lead to? I don't know. But then we had our main event, which was The Fiend versus Kevin Owens, and he got hit by his sister Abigail to the table. He used the claw. Owens tried to hit a stunner, but Fiend just got right out of it, hit him with the Uranagi, clawed him some more, and got the pin. Then Alexa showed up. They're hand in hand. The greatest love story of all. They should get Mike and Maria's old music, because it's the greatest love ever, or whatever the lyrics are. Over on 205 Live, they now are doing 205 Live in the Capitol Wrestling Center, which is awesome. I didn't mention this about NXT. So they're using old footage from a couple weeks ago, because I'm in the audience, the virtual audience, as it's from, I think I talked about this in the last episode. And yes, they used it for TakeOver 31. They used it for NXT a couple days later, and for this episode of 205 Live. And they also did it the following week. So I get to be on TV like so much without having to do anything. It's great. It's great. I know some people are, my friend Tyler messaged me and said, more people are noticing and they're upset about it. I'm like, what? They should be excited. It's awesome. So I am not upset at all. I think it's great. Arya Daivari versus Jake Atlas ended in disqualification when Tony Nese attacked. The Singh brothers are coming back as the Bollywood Boys. And then we had Ashante the Adonis versus the Brian Kendrick. Battle of the These. And Adonis won. Respect between the two. A nice handshake shared. And that was really good. That was a nice match, and I liked the ending. I was worried they're gonna have him be a jerk after that, shake his hand, but then punch him in the gut or something. But they did not. There was respect there. Then on Raw, the draft, second night of the draft, there's some Randy and Drew stuff. We had The Fiend, Randy and Charlotte drafted to Raw, Bailey and the Street Profits drafted to SmackDown. We had Kevin Owens versus Aleister Black. Kevin Owens won after putting him through a table and then getting a pin. I think that was a no disqualifications match. Then we had Braun, Riddle, and Hardy drafted to Raw, and Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens drafted to SmackDown. There's a special edition of Miz TV, not the Dirt Sheet, even though Morrison was out there, with their special guests Mandy and Dana, the Sexy Muscle Friends, or whatever they actually decide their name to be. Asuka named them that. That's the name that they should have. There's a TikTok brawl with Lana and Natalya, and then they end up having a tag team match later, and Natalya is sick of Lana after she keeps getting... Okay, they had this tag team match, but then they had a battle royal. They were both in the battle royal later. But they lost that tag team match because Dana hit a senton on Lana, and then Natalya calls her stupid. Draft. Raw gets Retribution, Keith Lee, and Bus? What is that? Oh, Alexa Bliss. Bliss, not Bus. And SmackDown gets Lars Sullivan and Baron Corbin. Seth says goodbye. Jeff says hello. And AJ says, oh, hey. AJ versus Seth versus Jeff. Triple threat. AJ wins after Elias returns to attack Jeff Hardy because he is still mad that Jeff supposedly... Elias believes that Jeff hit him with that car many weeks ago. Next round of the draft, Raw got Elias, Lacey, and Sheamus. It's convenient that they made these picks right after these people showed up in a lot of these cases. SmackDown gets Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura. They had the Hurt Business talking to Ricochet, and Ricochet is, I want to fight. If I lose, I will join. Said, all right, that sounds good. Angel Garza versus Andrade with Zelina Vega on commentary. Garza wins via the wing clipper, and then the Fiend shows up. And Alexa, but first, Alexa shows up first. Scares the crap out of them, Zelina and Andrade, and then the Fiend also is there. And they both attack. They both hit them with the Sister Abigails. It's amazing. It's so good. So good. They just keep adding a little bit more each week, and it's great. I love it. Next round of the draft, we got Nikki Cross, R-Truth, and Dabba-Kato going to Raw, and Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, and Apollo going to SmackDown. As a goodbye to Raw, I guess, the New Day, or rather Kofi and Xavier, fight Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. I just put RR. They win via the Midnight Hour, and then previously, they simply, Adam Pearce had the great idea, hey, Street Profits, you're drafted, so just trade titles. And so they did. Nice and simple. Then we had Hurt Business come out with Ricochet to fight Cedric. Ricochet wins via disqualification because he frames Cedric for using a steel chair, as the referee is like kind of knocked out a little bit. Ricochet hits the chair, a chair that they were trying to give Cedric to actually cheat. He hits the chair on the ground and then tosses it to Cedric. Total Eddie Guerrero move. The referee sees that Cedric, he hears the hit, turns around and sees Cedric with the chair and disqualifies him. It's pretty great. The best part about it was Ricochet's fainting after hitting the chair on the ground. It was so funny. Then we had, Titus, Peyton, and Akira were drafted to Raw. Carmella and Aleister Black drafted to SmackDown. Then we had the Women's Battle Royal. I was really glad that I was in the Thunderdome for this one. I don't know if I was visible on the screens or not, but I still had a lot of fun. Lana gets put through a table again by Nia Jax. I'm not getting tired of this at all. It came down to Lacey versus Natalya, and Natalya knocked Lacey off of the apron there. She thinks that she's won, but Lana was actually still in it. She wasn't put through the table after being disqualified. No, she had gone out of the ring to do something. And so she was taken out of action, but was not out of the match. So Lana wins and will face Asuka, I believe, next Monday for the Raw Women's Championship. But during this match, I was kind of bothered by this, that Randy and Drew were like fighting during this whole thing. So we kept we didn't cut back to it a whole bunch. Maybe like once or twice, but Lana's celebration was interrupted very quickly by this brawl that spilled out into the main arena. So, I don't think that was really necessary, but okay. Then on Raw Talk, we found out another round of draft picks. Lana, Riddick and Arturo Ruas, Riddick Moss, that is, went to Raw, and Natalya and the Riot Squad went to SmackDown. We also got a couple of, I think Chad Gable was drafted to SmackDown, and then there's somebody else. There's some other news as well, but I forget. Then on NXT, I already talked about NXT this week, but NXT was fantastic on October 14th. We open up with Roderick and Bobrick versus Oni and Danny. Roderick and Bobrick. Oh, that's so dumb. Roddy and Bobby That makes more sense to rhyme them. Undisputed Era wins to become the number one contenders for the NXT Championship, Tag Team Championship. The Adonis, Ashante the Adonis versus Jake Atlas. Atlas wins. But then Legado del Fantasma attacks. They team up with each other, and Swerve arrives to even the odds. And if that ends up being another 6-man street fight, dang, that's going to be great. Because that one against who was their teammate? Breezango and whoever their teammate was. Well, I can't remember who I think it was Swerve. Same thing, but you're just replacing Breezango. That's fine. It's going to be great. We had Austin Theory versus Johnny Gargano. Gargano won. Candice LeRae versus Shotzi Blackheart. Candice won after Indy gives her some brass knucks. And I was really happy that Wade Barrett called them knucks after I literally wrote down knucks instead. I could have written down knuckles. There's no reason not to write the full word. But I wrote down knucks, and then he said knucks, and I was very happy about that. Robert Stone comes out to talk up Aaliyah, and Aaliyah's competitor is Toni Storm, and Toni Storm, of course, wins. Drake Maverick and Killian Dane fight Imperium, Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel. Imperium wins, and then Everrise attacks them afterward. Then Killian Dane attacks them because nobody punches Drake except for him. And then we get we didn't get their music at the beginning because Killian's cut it off. We got like a second, but we did get like 4 seconds of it at the end of the match. Then we had our main event: Damien Priest versus Dexter Loomis. Damien Priest wins. There's this amazing kip up right into a leg drop by Dexter Loomis. That was so cool. But Grimy comes in and attacks Dexter while the referee is distracted. Damien doesn't even realize that that's what happened. But Damien does benefit from it, gets the win. And then Gargano comes out, attacks Damien as he's doing his thing at the entrance, like, come here, follow me, check out this thing I do with the arrow. So the mime of the arrow, check this out. This is going to be cool. You see it every time, but come check it out. It's going to be really cool. And then Johnny Gargano runs up and hits him with a chair. And William Regal comes out annoyed. Like, you rapscallions. You both have title matches at Halloween Havoc, but I'm going to let Shotzi tell you what's up. Shotzi appears in front of the huge screen, and she says, "It's gonna be a wheel of fortune, misfortune, of pain," or whatever she calls it. What does she call it? I didn't even write down what they actually called it. But there's all kinds of stipulation on the wheel. I think that's gonna be great. And Shotzi seems to be, even though she lost the match, does that mean that Shotzi had that prepared if she had won as well? If she was challenging EO, would she also have to do the wheel? I don't know. Maybe she just had it in her back pocket. So in 2 weeks, we'll have Candice versus EO, Raquel versus Rhea, and Johnny versus Damien. Zaya needs a match next week. And also next week, we'll have Undisputed Era versus Breezango for the NXT Tag Team titles. So there you go. Caught up on everything and almost the last 2 weeks in just 25 minutes. Wow, I did it. So I really enjoyed NXT the last 2 weeks, especially SmackDown last week was awesome. And I really need to watch these NXT UK episodes because these, at least at the very least, the Heritage Cup matches look awesome, but the other matches look really great too. There's also Kaylee Ray held a State of the Union address on the second to last episode. So there you go. Let me know what you thought about all of these shows and this episode of the podcast by tweeting me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on this site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you like to listen. Stay safe, healthy, and happy out there in all of the infinite multiverses. And I will see you next time here on TIW Podcast. Bye.